Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Moving to Texas team here with another episode of the Real Advice podcast. This week's guest is a realtor and team leader in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm thrilled to welcome him to the podcast. Please join me in welcoming my gray duck friend, Joe Schwartzbauer. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm excited to dig in. We've known each other for a little while now, being at the same brokerage and, running in some of the same circles as far as, our different YouTube and different like things that we're doing. So I'm excited to dig in with you a little bit more in your business. But for those that may not know you, how did you get into real estate?
Oof. How to get into real estate. I actually lived in an small apartment building in downtown St. Paul. And the guys that own that building ran a real estate office on the main floor. I'd walk down, give them my rent checks. I got to know those guys, started going out to lunch with them, and they were like, man, you should get into real estate. And I was looking for a new career at that point, and it was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So I kind of fell into it. Somebody told
Yeah.
me, hey, you'd be great. And here I am, a decade later, basically.
What'd you do before real estate?
I had multiple different careers. I worked for a family business. I've been in sales pretty much for a long time now. So family owned a screen printing, embroidery, ad specialties type of business. But anybody that has ever worked with family knows that that can be a giant pain, and working with family doesn't always go as you would like it to. So that lasted for a while, but did that, got into real estate. Prior to that, even I was in the construction industry, a lot of concrete framing, that type of thing. So kind of been all around.
I feel like all of that is a very good foundation for real estate though, right? Like being in some customer based background, being in construction and again, like I feel like there is, depending on what you were doing, right? Like a lot of the similarities now, right? And then like all of that is a good segue into real estate.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely those careers helped me to transition into this and kind of hit the ground running. I mean, like I say though, I've been in it just over a decade now. So when the whole time that I've been in this industry, we've been on pretty much an upward trajectory. So I don't want to say the business has always been easy, but it's kind of always come a little bit easy to me anyway.
Well, and so that's what I was kind of doing the math. I was like 2013 minus 10 or
Yeah.
2023 minus 10 is 2013. I clearly
Yep.
can't add right now. But so you got in 10 years ago. When did you start a team?
So team started in probably late 2018 or so.
Okay.
It basically came out of necessity. Me and my wife were on vacation visiting her family down in Georgia. And, just like every real estate agent knows, go on vacation, your phone's going to ring.
Yeah.
And she was upset with me because my phone was ringing. I'm writing offers. I'm doing all of this. And we're like supposed to be on vacation. I said, listen, we need to start a team basically. So at that point, me and my wife had done a fair amount of like home flips and that type of thing. So we already had a company called Grey Duck Properties, which was our home flipping company. And I was like, let's just transition this into a real estate team. And that's been that ever since. And for anybody that doesn't know Grey Duck, because it's always a question, across the country, everybody plays the little kids game, Duck, Duck, Goose. But in Minnesota, it's Duck, Duck, Grey Duck. And we have a huge Swedish population that immigrated to Minnesota. And the name or that kid's game is Anka, Anka, Gra, Anka, which translates into Duck, Duck, Grey Duck. So in Minnesota, we have Grey Duck like everything.
So
Like
in Minnesota, that's like well known. Everyone like
it's
gets it,
it's very well known. And
but you've
like
got
when
to
I
explain it to everyone else.
but we have to explain to everybody that's not in Minnesota, basically. They're like, what is that?
Because yeah, I had never heard that until I met you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean I like it, but yeah, I had never
Yeah.
heard that until I knew you, until you were in my life.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that 2018 was when y'all started the team, and you mentioned, you and your wife. Was she in the business at that time?
She was ever so slightly. Uh, she had her license for probably 3 or 4 years, but she had really only done a couple transactions. She was never deep into it. She was kind of assisting me here and there, but
Mhm.
she has owned a home staging and interior design company for the past decade as well. So that's really where she shines. That was her number one job. And we actually put her license on ice probably 3 years ago now. It just, when she's dealing with other agents and staging homes for them, her being a licensed agent, it didn't always go over well. So we were like, just drop the whole, agent thing. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's so I assume that you have great advice for your sellers when you go in for a listing consultation on what they should do to the property. So
we
that,
do. It's
yeah,
it's nice. And like I said, I have kind of a background in construction. I had my general contractor's license for a long time as well. So it helps me to really kind of understand the costs of what different projects cost and what is going to actually return on their investment. And so much so I'll pat myself on the back or whatever. Me and my wife had a HGTV series. We only got one episode out of it, but it was all about the budget friendly renovations you can do to a home when you're going to list it for sale. And it was called Stager Things, right around the time when Stranger Things was popular. Hated the name. We didn't get to decide on that.
yeah, no,
Super
that's pretty
cheesy,
cringe.
but it was super cool. It was really cool. We got to see all the sausages made and that type of thing behind the scenes. And a lot of HGTV budgets are complete bullshit. So yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like, I mean, isn't that just HGTV as a whole? You're like,
Yeah,
they
pretty
go look
much.
at one home and then suddenly they're under contract and buying it or whatever.
Yep. Yep.
It's good to watch like at the dentist's office, the doctor's office, while you're waiting for your
Totally.
appointment for hours on
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
That's really my only
Yeah,
time that I
no,
enjoy it.
she's had two other shows that she's been on locally in the Twin Cities, and staged all of the stuff for them. So cool. She's been on HGTV like three different times now anyway.
Yeah.
Three
No,
different
that's
shows,
awesome.
I should say. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, you said that in getting in 2013 or whatever that things have been easy-ish, right? And obviously, in today's market, we're in a far different market than we have been for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
If I were a brand new agent today, what advice would you give me as far as things that I should be doing or what my mindset should be in today's market?
I mean, you've got to be prepared to work hard and put in full-time plus hours is really what it comes down to. I mean, so many people get into real estate because they think it's easy and they're like, oh, I can work, 10, 15 hours a week type of thing. This is a career that I really love because you get out of it what you put into it.
For sure.
So if you want to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, you're going to crush. You're going to do really, really well. For a new agent, I think leaning on your sphere is probably one of the best things that you can do. I mean, anybody that wants to build a long-term sustainable business, it's going to come from your sphere. And, there's also a lot of different referral based lead sources out there now. So I would get signed up for as many of those as possible because it can be tough starting out if you don't have a large sphere. So getting into some of these lead sources that are, easy to get into, essentially, you just kind of sign up and they start sending you leads and then you pay them a referral on the back end. It's probably one of the best ways to go. I mean, I know a lot of teams are even moving to this model right now with Zillow Flex and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and obviously Zillow is probably the most well known and
Right.
most hated of them all, right?
Yeah.
But that one you have to qualify for. But like you're talking about like the
Mhm.
agent prontos and
Yep.
now I can't think of any of them.
Prime
Home Light.
Street and Easy, yeah, Home, yeah, all of these different ones. So yeah, there's a lot of them out there, and I'm actually shooting a webinar on that tomorrow with Real, talking all about all the different ones because we use like 14 different one of them actually on the team right now. So
Is that a large lead source for the team?
I mean, each one of them is a small
Yeah,
source, but it equates to something large anyway. So
for
yeah, we
sure.
do we do a fair amount of business out of them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that
Yeah,
it's good, especially if you're a brand new agent, to not have a significant outlay of cash up front.
seriously.
Most people complain that online leads don't have that significant or high amount of intent. And
Yeah.
so, if you're not paying until closing, that's something that can kind of help you out, financially in
Yeah.
the short term, for sure.
Yeah. And, for a new agent, if you are going to be a solo agent, that's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
Otherwise, join a team, join a high producing team and learn from them and just shadow people, show up, be in the office, do all of that stuff. But I think it's, we all know that the industry is moving more towards the team ridge type of a model, basically. And I mean, teams are really where it's at nowadays.
Well, and so you said something too about, you know, your sphere is where it's at. These are the people that you should be, leaning on
Yeah.
or contacting. What would you, if you just got your license today, do? Because I mean, like 10 years in, you're from Minnesota too, right? Like, so
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you have very deep ties in your
Yeah.
neighborhood and in your market. So even if you move to a new industry tomorrow, like people would probably still, call you for whatever the new thing is that you're doing. So if you're a
Right.
brand
Yeah.
new agent, like how would you dig in deep with those people?
I mean, one of the worst things that you can do is call your sphere and be like, "Hey, I'm a real estate agent. You know anybody that wants to buy or sell a home?" Like the worst thing to do is transactionalize your sphere. You don't want to do that. The number one thing that I push for our brand new agents to do is just call your sphere, talk to them. Just be a human being and talk to them and then ask them, "Hey, anything new in your career?" Because the next question that they ask you is going to be like, "Anything new in your career?" And like, "Yeah, actually, I just got into real estate." And let the conversation be that, and then just follow up with them again in a couple months. And it's a slow churn type of thing, but the worst thing you can do is transactionalize those people, because then you lose a friendship and they're not going to answer your call in the future because they know you're just looking for business.
There's very few people, and I do have a few that I know that I could call with just that call, right? But for
Yeah.
most
Yep.
people, you do want to call and continue to forge those relationships, set coffee
Yeah.
meetings, go to lunch,
Yes.
do the different things to deepen those relationships so that you are
Yeah.
that person of choice.
And
You
I
know,
think, and don't get me wrong, I think it's okay if you've spoken to somebody recently to call and be like, "Hey, this is a business call. Do you have anybody that you can refer to me?" Like, it's okay if you name that up front and be like, "Listen, I'm not calling just to BS here. I'm looking for some business. What can you help me out with?" That's okay as well.
it's the I've had them where, I call you, I'm like, "Hey Joe, what's going on, man? Like, hope all is well," and we're catching up. And then I'm like, "Oh, by the way, do you know anyone that's looking to
Yes.
buy or sell?" And you're like, "Oh, like I thought that you
Yeah.
were calling to catch up." Right. And so
Yep.
I like what you said about, if I ask you, "Hey, how's work going? What's new? Are you still at ABC company?" And you
Yeah.
say, "Oh yeah, I am," or, "Oh no, I just started a new job. What about you? What are you doing for work?" Then if I bring it
Yeah.
up, you're like, "Oh shoot, like I didn't realize you were in real estate. That's really cool." Blah 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 blah
Yep.
blah. And the conversation normally
Yep.
goes to how's the market, what's happening, and
Yeah.
different things. So
Open
yeah.
houses too. If you're going to be a brand new agent, join a team, go to open houses, host open houses. It's one of the easiest ways to pick up buyers.
And I also find that for open houses, it's, the buyers there are, generally a little bit closer to transact
Yeah.
than, just a random lead that inquires about a property online. So
Well, and
helpful.
someone that inquires about a property online, you are just a phone number. You're not really a face. So actually having that face-to-face communication with them, you can build that trust much more quickly than you can over the phone. And I mean, us as real estate agents, we're like a notch above used car salesmen, basically. So
Yep.
people think we're just looking for a sale, and it's tough with online leads to build that trust with people. So it's much easier when you are face-to-face and in person.
For sure, for sure. Okay, and so you mentioned you started the team in 2018, kind of out of
Yeah.
necessity, right? Your phone was
Yeah.
ringing incessantly. So over the years, how has the team grown? Like, where is it at today?
Oof. Um, eh, Boy, there's been a lot of changes over the years in the team and in my mentality for the team, what I've wanted to see out of the team, all of that. And it's part of starting a team and growing and
For sure.
learning and just adapting and adjusting to the market, to the times, all of that type of thing. So starting off, my vision was always to stay small, very kind of mom and pop, and have a couple agents. I was always big into the go deep and not wide, and offer immense amount of support for my agents so they can sell more homes without having to feel like they're selling more homes.
Yep.
And it's a phenomenal model. It really is, because you will keep agents on your team, you will keep them happy. But as we've seen now over this past year or so, with transactions being as low as they have, you can offer them as much support as possible, But when the number of transactions are down, you need more agents to have a sustainable business running a team, because it is a business. And for far too long, I guess I didn't look at it uh, enough as a business, which I
Yeah.
think is it was paying my bills. The income that the team was bringing in was paying for the expenses of the team, but I was putting in a lot of time to the team, and it was just, in my opinion, it was just never a business. And a lot of things have changed recently to allow me to truly own a business, I should say.
Well, I mean, and I think that like we think of ourselves as business owners, and obviously we are. And it's like you may look at your P&L, or you may do these things, but I think that like we get very caught up in just like, okay, well, like we're just gonna keep going down this path, right? And it's difficult to sometimes adjust or
Yeah.
change it in any way. So
Yeah.
kudos to you for recognizing that you maybe needed to make a few adjustments along the way. Because I feel like
Yeah.
that's hard to do, or
Yeah.
easier said than done for many.
So
Um,
to finish up on that question, we're currently 15 agents, including myself and admin staff right now, and we're looking to grow larger and bring some more on, and actively interviewing agents right now. So
Heck yeah. What's your goal? Do you have a goal as far as size or
we want to go to 100 within 4 years.
okay. Yeah,
So it's a big goal. It's a lofty goal. Well, and 4 years ago, that was not the goal.
for
That
sure.
goal could change in the next 4 years. We'll see what happens. But as of right now, that's what we're looking at.
It's interesting you say that. Something I coach with Tom Ferry, and something that he's always been saying is like, the messy middle of teams, the messy middle of teams. And that used to be the messy middle was like, oh, you've got to get over 50. You've got to get over, that 20 to 30 is the messy middle. Once you get to 40 to 50, then it makes more sense, and, things are scalable and this and that. And like now, especially with how the market is, he's been saying 100. He's like,
Yeah,
100 is where like the things have scaled, but
yeah.
really anything before that, you're just kind of spinning your wheels. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of people. Like,
Yeah, I've got a long ways to go. And like I also, we've brought on some really good people recently. I just took a trip and was out of town for a full week. I was up in Canada fishing and had very limited cell phone service. This was the first trip that I have ever been able to take as a real estate agent and feel wildly comfortable that my team had everything taken care of. And
that's
that
awesome.
was it was an amazing feeling. Yeah.
It sucks that that's 5 years into having a team, but that's such an awesome feeling.
Seriously. Yeah. But
So if I had a team, or really maybe not if I had a team, if I was thinking about starting a team today, right? Again,
mhm.
most people start it out of necessity. What advice would you give to me as like a future team leader?
Don't do it. um,
I
I mean,
well, so I
honestly,
mean,
it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's very difficult. It is a very, very difficult thing to do, to show up every single day and to be the person that everybody looks to. If that is your mentality and that's who you are, and you've got the personality for it, you can be successful in it. But it is hard. It is very difficult. Like you are the culture of the team. How you show up for your daily huddles, for your meetings, and that type of thing, it filters out into the team completely. And I mean, there's a lot of days I just got to put on a happy face type of thing to be that positive person. And I'm not always, that person every day. So if you are going to build a team and you are set on doing it, I would say the first thing that you need to do is get your systems and processes completely dialed. Because that was one of our biggest hangups for the first 3 to 4 years almost of our team, basically.
that you didn't have them, or that they weren't.
We had them, but they just weren't dialed in to what they should be. And it's something that you need to constantly be working on and constantly changing and constantly improving. But start with the basics of systems and processes. It'll help you get to where you need to go.
Well, and I feel like most agents have, their systems and processes in their head, and they don't have anything
Mhm.
written down or, put into any sort of flow chart or
Yeah.
anything to kind of keep track of them. And so, that's always my advice for the first starting of things is like, hey, like if you have an admin or you have an assistant, like have them, from step 1 to step 75, write out what you're doing to launch a listing, write out what you're doing to, you
Yes.
know, when you get a new contract that comes in or whatever.
SOPs are wildly important to have. And in today's day and age, a lot of those can be through video. And I mean, that's the way we're doing a lot of it right now, and just trying to organize everything. We're looking for a better system to organize them in. I think you guys use something pretty good, don't you?
So we use Trainual for
Yes.
our
Yeah.
agent onboarding.
We just started looking at Trainual for a lot of different stuff because we're going to be using, we shoot a lot of video through Loom to
Yep.
share internally, and it's a great system to use. And yeah, so we're looking for a better place to store everything.
What's really cool about like where the world is going today is like, I'm looking at the Zoom screen where we're recording this at the bottom. You've got like the summary and AI companion and all of these things. And you can like activate all of these different, I guess tools on top of your Zoom calls or on top of your Loom
Yeah.
video or on top of your whatever to be like, oh, here's the 14 bullet points of what we just went over. And here are the
Oh,
timestamps.
yeah.
Which
It's amazing.
before it would be like I would record the video and then I would go back and be like, okay, at 15:22 we said this, and at 17:37 we said that. So there's definitely a lot more efficiencies if you were looking to create those SOPs today for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Who was your first hire?
My first hire was my admin, and I will say that is the best hire that you can make as a first hire. Most people think
Good
hire a
job.
buyer's agent, but yeah, I think admin was my first hire. It's Maggie. She's amazing. She's in the office right next door. I've known Maggie for like 25 years, 30 years now type of thing. And she's always been there for me. She's a huge support in
That's
my
awesome.
business. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's not normally the first hire. Like mine was a buyer's
No.
agent.
Yeah. I mean, it was for me, it was an easy hire because I knew I just needed leverage.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I knew that. And I don't know who I learned that from at that point. I
You were
don't feel
just
like it
so
was talked
lost
about.
that Maggie was the only
Yeah, I
person to
just don't
save
feel
you.
like it was talked about as much at that point as it is now about bringing leverage into your world and whatnot. But yeah, it was a phenomenal first hire, and then it went on to buyers agents, and then eventually now showing partners and that type of thing, and that's been huge for my business as well.
So when did Maggie start working with y'all?
2018. It was literally
Okay.
start a team. She
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
first
Yeah. Yeah.
hire. Like, hey, we're gonna do this. I need some help. Yeah.
No, that's because normally it's like a lot of people will hire an admin or hire an assistant and then they kind of start a team and then they go back and forth. But like you're like team, admin, let's go.
Yeah.
That's good job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good job. Good
I mean,
job.
the first buyer's agent came not long after that. It was probably within 2 to 3 months, basically. But yeah.
Hey, better than like 2 to 3 days because
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Yeah.
we were just struggling over here with
Mhm.
with a buyer's agent and no systems, but she was very patient as we continued to like build the plane as we flew it. So
Definitely.
all good, all good. All right. So switching gears a little bit, as far as, continuing to stay focused in on like personal development and things like that, I see some books over your shoulder. Do you have like any podcasts you listen to or books that you read or anything on like the personal development front or business front?
Just started reading the new Alex Hormozy, the $100 million leads. I don't read a lot. I listen to all my books.
Okay.
My wife is always like, "You're not reading that, you're listening to it." So I always have to be clear on that I'm listening to a lot of books. Um, I love that stuff. Honestly, something that I've really loved recently is BAM, Broke Agent Media.
Yep.
Byron Lazine, he's doing the hot sheet or whatever, and it's a daily thing. And yeah, it's national news, but man, it's phenomenal. I have really, really enjoyed it. It's 20 minutes or so, and I listen to it pretty much most days, and it's just really great info. I enjoy that a lot. I would
One of the
definitely
things
suggest
For
checking
sure.
it
One of the
out.
things that I like about the hot sheet is that like you can take some of that stuff and then distill it down to what's happening in your market, right? Or
Yes.
you see that this is happening nationally, but you have less inventory, in your market or more inventory or whatever. So then you can, be like, oh, well, hey, this is what's happening around the country, but here in Houston, Texas, this is what we're
Super
seeing.
important. If you want to be putting out content, knowing that national stuff, because that's what they're displaying on the news. That's what people are seeing is the national numbers. Very rarely it's local. So yeah, it's important to be able to take that, decipher that, and say, hey, this is that information, but here's really what's going on.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking a little bit about like lead sources and where your team gets business now, right? Because if you know you're at 15, scaling to
Mhm.
100, right? Like you said, Sphere is part of it, open houses is part of it, online referral lead partners is part of it. What are some
Mhm.
other things that y'all do as far as lead gen?
I mean, client events where we love client events. We fell out of them during COVID. We're really just
Yeah.
starting to get back to those. So we're doing an annual pie day here coming up. So we're just starting to get some marketing out for that where, we give away pies to all of our past clients in Sphere. And we're not on the Eric Hatch level of giving away like 4,000 pies or
Well,
whatever
that's
he
that's
does
because he's
every
sold
year.
every home in Fargo at least once,
He sold them
So
twice. Yeah, exactly. Like
yeah.
twice. So, but that's always a really good event. We love doing client appreciation stuff. So we do like a mini golf thing every year as well. And those are really big because we want to put that on social and people see, hey, if you come into our world, this is the type of things that you get to participate in. A lot of people will be upset with me for it, but we're still Zillow partners type of thing. I got into Zillow 2 years into my career, and I've always crushed with Zillow. I've done a really good job. I've always had a good ROI with them, and that's not something that I think a lot of people can say. I mean, our team's closing rate with Zillow right now is I think just over 11%, and that's phenomenal as far as national average is like 3%. So it's something that we do good at. And if you have good systems and processes, you can be successful with it.
Well, and I think that you mentioned one thing before you mentioned Zillow, which is the biggest thing in my mind is the client appreciation, right? And so once someone comes into your world, if you are continuing to stay in communication with them and they transact again or they send you referrals or they're doing repeat business or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
that's I think where the money is, right? So if you're spending
Yep.
the money on the front end, whether I don't know if you're a Zillow Flex or Premier or whatever it is, but like
Yeah.
whatever it is, you're spending money on the front end, right? On that first deal. But if you can get the second deal and the third deal and their cousin and their mom and their friend out of it,
Yes.
that's where the true money is being made, right?
Yes. 100%. Yeah, we're not Flex. We've talked about it, but
Yeah, 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 yeah.
we're not there. Yeah.
No, all good either way, but the spend is there, but
Yep,
the money being
100%.
made. So as far as client events, we definitely do a lot of them as well, and it's something that I really enjoy. And going back to those digging in deep with your people, like I really enjoy calling you and being like, hey Joe, what's going on? We're having a party and I would love for you to come to it on X day and X time, how everything's
Mhm.
going, how's the wife, da da da, whatever, how's work, and going into all that conversation. And then the referrals I feel have come a lot more naturally, right? Do you
Yes.
find that as well?
100%. I mean, it's anytime it's what is Gary V's give left hook. What is this whole thing?
The
Left hook.
jab.
Yeah, jab,
Yeah.
left hook, or
Yeah.
give, and then ask type of deal. Yeah, as long as you're giving enough to your people, they feel like they should reciprocate. So it's that fine line of giving enough though, and providing good value, and making them feel like they're not just a number, and you truly do care, and use social media. It's one of the best CRMs that's out there because you get to see what's going on in people's lives, and don't just like their stuff. Like give them a call, talk to them. Hey, I saw this, and that's super cool. Yeah.
Well, and so what do you do or how do you get buy-in from your team?
Or client events.
Yeah.
It's the biggest struggle there is. I mean, anybody that's running a team knows that it's tough. We want to get our team to be as involved with it as possible. The easiest way to get buy-in is to do it yourself as a team leader and to show them that this works and this is how you do it. So we're doing, actually next Thursday, we're doing a call night to start doing invites for our pie day. And that's just an evening where we get everybody in the office and I provide pizza and wine and whatever everybody wants type of thing.
Yeah,
And let's all sit around and call at least 100 people and invite them and shoot some text messages and shoot some videos and that type of deal. And it's a good way. Anytime you can get everybody together, it's just, it's better buy-in when everyone's together.
for sure. Do you guys
Yeah.
I mean, you do call nights to invite people to events and things like that. Do y'all do call nights to do like expireds or to do follow-ups on Zillow calls or things like that?
We've never been big on expireds, and we used to do a ton of call nights. This is the first one that we've done in probably a year now type of thing. So we're just getting back into it, and it is going to be a once a month type of a deal that we're going to be doing because they're huge. It's impactful and it's good to get the whole team together.
Well, and I know for us, I was actually texting with one of my agents the other day on, just like competitions. And she's like, man, I'm feeling like I'm in a rut right now. I'm like, well, you want to do a competition next one? She's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm in. Let's do this. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So I feel like just even being around the other people in the room is super beneficial.
Yeah. Anytime you can gamify anything within it, it
Yeah.
helps
People will get
for
way more
most.
excited for $20 than they will for
Totally.
the appointment
But
that's going to bring them
not
thousands.
not every agent is like that. There's certain agents that just that's not their style type of thing. So,
We found that most agents that are successful on our team are competitive people.
yeah,
So
there you go. It's very true.
yeah. All right. I'm
Yeah.
going to hit you with one last hard hitting question.
Oh.
If you were eating your last meal on Earth, what would it be?
Oh God. Do I get to like pick multiple
I
things?
mean, it's your last meal, so it can be whatever you want it to be.
All right. Ann Kim, she's a local chef here in the Twin Cities. She's got a bunch of pizza joints. So I would
Oh,
definitely have a pizza from Ann Kim. I'm a big pizza lover. I was actually just down in Phoenix. There's Bianco Pizza down there, and it's apparently the best pizza in the world. So I was at a conference and it was literally like a 2 minute walk. I ate pizza there every single day while I was at the conference. So it was phenomenal.
that's
But I would
hilarious.
definitely I would definitely have pizza from Ann Kim. I would definitely have a ribeye steak. I would probably do some type of potatoes and probably like some lobster crab legs and maybe
Damn,
some mac and cheese.
that is a meal.
Yeah, I mean, if I can have multiple things, even if I have just a bite of each of them, come on, let's go.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate
Hold
you.
on. What would you have? I want to know what you would
I
have.
would have a ribeye and some sushi.
There we go. Yeah. Well, yeah, I would definitely have some sushi in there. Some good like Toro or something.
Yeah. I mean, it would just be like all of the things.
Yeah.
I absolutely love food though. So, I just have to kind of like draw the line to be like, it would be, steak and sushi and that's it. Cause like, or else I would just name off everything.
Yeah,
So,
totally. Yeah. But sushi, I like that. That'd be a good route. You actually recommended a phenomenal sushi place from the real estate video blueprint, like the first year when it was
it
in Houston.
was, was it Uchi?
Yes. That was
Yeah.
I still like dream of that. So
Well,
great
real
spot.
estate video blueprint 2024, April 10th and 11th. Come on down. You can
Coming
eat all the
back.
sushi. Yeah. The one of the best things, I don't know if you got this when you went there, but they have a 72-hour sous vide um short rib, I think.
Ooh.
And it's
Ooh. No, I
nigiri.
didn't get that. That sounds amazing. When I came back to Real Estate Video Blueprint last year, I brought my wife with me and I took her back to that restaurant. And we sat at the bar for probably 3.5 hours one night. And so we might have eaten that because we ate
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything on the menu.
It's
Yeah.
it's called Gyutoro, I guess,
All right.
is the thing. But like
Nice.
what the hell? I'll share my screen.
Yeah. Let's see it.
And it's like this is it. That may not be the one from Uchi.
Yeah, because I know they had like a Wagyu one that we had, but I don't know if we had a short rib one.
Yeah, so that's
Oh,
72 hours and it's got like a little wasabi on top.
oh God, that looks
It's
amazing.
so good.
And real wasabi is so much different than the fake wasabi, and it's so much better. And people don't realize it.
Yeah. It
I'm a food snob. I am.
I
Yeah.
no, I love that. Well, so I can give you some other recommendations for places. Uchi is by far my favorite restaurant in Houston, but
Nice.
I can give you some other recommendations for places if you're coming down next year. So I
Yeah,
got
I'll
you.
be
I
there.
got you on
I'll be
that.
there. I'm gonna bring multiple folks from the team as well.
Love
So
it.
hope come with a huge crew.
So if someone doesn't already follow you on social, where is the best place for them to find you?
Instagram, the real Joe Schwartzbauer with dots in between each word.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I very much appreciate it. Appreciate you
Thank you for having me.
sharing, and I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing you sometime soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie.